I'd like, can I make a motion to, open?
Oh,
yeah.
we'll call the meeting to order at 7:07 PM. And the first item on the agenda is the minutes of the last meeting. So, the form that you're using, Kumar, it has on there that,
Yeah,
a couple of things there that really, that are part of the agenda, but don't need to be part of the minutes. The things,
okay.
the things that said, actually, you could just take a blank piece of
Yeah,
paper and just start
Just start scratching
writing
it out, yeah.
without using this form,
Okay.
all right?
That's why I was a
And
little
then-
confused when Tamika sent the
Well-
template email, yeah.
If you have this in like an editable document, you can just
Yeah.
take out that little portion. You can keep all this the same,
Yeah.
but keep it black so that it's
Absolutely.
minutes, right?
What portion are you talking about taking out?
Oh,
The boxes?
so if
The
you,
boxes.
Yeah.
if you
Those
wanted to
boxes.
keep it consistent with the agenda, just don't have the text in red at the top. And just get rid of this meeting will be held, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are you
Yeah,
going a different route?
this meeting will be held, and then down at the bottom, the
Oh.
listed agenda, we don't need to have those in the minutes. And then that
Okay.
just kinda shortens things up a little bit, so
Okay.
it's.
Look, this is
Not
like,
wasting
Or you
paper.
can just change held to was held.
do I was held, exactly, yeah, yeah. I think it's every single, I think I just like copy paste, copy paste, copy paste.
Hey,
It's one of my,
Yeah.
I didn't wanna
Anyway,
point it out
anyway.
myself.
it's
To
one
do
of my
that.
own little OCD
No,
things.
that's all right, yeah. That's too fun. It's too
And
fun.
and I don't say that to joke about people who really have a bad case of it, but there are people.
No, and that includes the subtext at the bottom too,
Uh-huh.
talking about, Anita's
Uh-huh.
number and.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So those don't need to be in the
The
minutes,
waterworks,
that's
yeah.
all,
No,
okay,
no, it sounds good.
okay? All right, are there any additions or changes to the minutes as presented?
Yeah, my name is,
Oh,
there's no
okay.
E on the end of Lynn.
Gosh, okay.
It's L-Y-N-N.
Oh, wait, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll make that change.
No problem.
I'd like to say that one thing I like on these minutes is that you state these things that we're always talking about, the community preservation and the status of them.
Right, and then.
So we always know going into the next meeting, well, what was the status?
From the previous
So
one.
I like that.
Yeah. Are we being taped today?
I believe so.
All-
Okay,
It is my understanding that all of the meetings moving forward will be taped, in order to make it more accessible to the public, is what I was informed.
Gotcha.
It was across the board, all meetings, because there were other people also surprised that meetings were all of a sudden being recorded. So it wasn't just the bylaws.
True.
I motion these minutes be accepted as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second,
Yeah, and actually, some quick friendly addendum, right? Lynn's name, should that be as edited or?
Yes, as
Submitted
as
as
corrected.
corrected.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as
corrected,
corrected,
sure.
with just that one,
Yeah.
yeah,
Perfect.
that's fine.
I'll second it, yeah.
Oh, Mike already
That's
Oh,
okay.
you
did.
like, alright.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I have to abstain because I had my Thursdays mixed up last month.
Gee, Lynn, that never happens to me.
I didn't realize it, the month started on a Thursday, so the second Thursday for me was the week. I came looking for the meeting
It
whenever.
happens.
It happens,
Yeah,
it happens, that's fine. So you are abstaining from approval of these
and
minutes?
it's, yeah, 'cause I wasn't here last time.
Okay, all right, so the minutes are approved. Public comments? Okay,
No public comment.
I did invite the Conservation Commission to come.
I invited a whole bunch of people.
Oh, okay. And under the heading of old business, obviously, we have the Community Preservation Act, the Earthworks Bylaw, and the Stormwater Bylaw, which are all still, there, that at some point in time are going to need to be dealt with, but just, we have nothing to report on anything having to do with them. They're all still kind of in committee as it's,
They're
as
in
it
process.
speaks. They're being processed. True.
So one thing I did wanna say about the Community Preservation Act, I was reminded yesterday that, so that was approved at the ballot box, so it's,
No.
No.
no,
No,
excuse me, it was voted down at the ballot box, it was approved at town meeting, so it has we have to wait another year before it comes back up at town meeting. Is it 1 or 2 years?
I was told that it was, because it was approved at the town meeting and failed at the ballot box, that they will do another ballot.
Okay, I keep
Without a town meeting vote, because a town meeting vote already approved it, that's
I
my
keep-
understanding.
I keep misspeaking, that is what I meant to say.
Oh, okay, yes. I haven't heard anything from anybody who is connected to that, to be able to say whether or not they're going to go forward with that. That would come up at the fall special meeting, or sometime around then. And so I haven't heard anything about anything like that.
I was just making a point to say it because at least I myself had thought there was something going to happen, but no, there's a waiting period, so to speak.
They went for 3% the last time, they may go down to 1 or 1.5, like Hubbardston.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So why do some things get settled at the town meeting, and then others get settled at the town meeting and then have to go to the ballot box?
Generally.
Like the one we just did, the wetlands, right? This doesn't go to a ballot box.
no, it does not.
But was this maybe from what she said, this involved money or something?
No, that's according to the statute that set up this Community Preservation Act.
Okay, all right. So it always has to go to a ballot box? Is that what it,
Community
but that one,
Preservation- The Community Preservation Act does, yes,
okay.
Right, and an override. You could
yeah.
have people at a town meeting approve an override,
Okay,
but then it would still have to go to a ballot vote at some kind of election at some point in time,
Anything that's gonna raise the taxes, basically.
yeah.
pretty much.
Question. Barbara, I just want to make it clear, I'm here as an ad hoc from the select board personally. I'm not here as a citizen.
Okay,
I'm here as a member of the
okay.
select board ad hoc.
Hey,
okay.
Henry?
Welcome.
On this Community Preservation Act, you said the draft work is all done.
Yes,
So the bylaw committee has a draft of that.
I
Yeah.
believe I gave the Board of Selectmen a copy.
Okay,
It's on the website, isn't it?
all right.
I'm not sure if it's on the website or not, but I certainly can make sure that you get a copy.
Okay, all right, that would be good, because I would be interested in that. Particularly on the bylaw regarding the, all four piece, you know, the recreation, the other piece of the building, I can't think of the name of it now, affordable housing.
Okay,
I would be interested to see what your bylaw is on affordable housing.
I'm not sure that we discussed affordable housing because it was our impression that affordable housing would be one of those topics that got discussed and decided by the actual Community Preservation Committee itself. If that's
Oh.
not the case, we certainly can
Well, I
look
won't
into
speak
it.
for the board, but if we're going to be, I guess the bylaws, if it's referencing the Community Preservation Act, maybe should be considered in its discussion, because to me, the most important piece for which the state will hold us accountable is the Affordable Housing Act.
Okay,
My reasoning is, right now, the state wants us to be at 10%, but we're at 3%, but they're not really pushing the issue, because they don't have any skin in the game. The minute affordable housing goes in and they match that, now I believe they have an interest in pushing us to do affordable housing. So I'd be interested in how the bylaw, if it does, relates to that.
What did you mean by when that goes in, what is that?
If we approve affordable housing,
Okay, and that's
If we
what, that
approve-
was in that
If
community?
we approve the CPA,
if we approve the CPA, then the CPA mandates we have to set a certain amount of money aside for affordable housing. And the state will match that.
Yeah.
And that is the part that concerns me about, will the state then come to this town and say, now you have money, now you have to do affordable housing? And what impact that will have on our real estate taxes and our growth and everything else. So that's the part that I don't know if it would be in the bylaw, but it would concern me that how the bylaw ties into that,
so
of what you're drafting.
if I may read from the bylaw.
Sure.
Article 1, Community Preservation Committee, I believe this is the draft we approved, I
Uh-huh.
believe. Under duty, so subsection 5, duties, section C, the committee shall make recommendations to town meeting in accordance with said general law for the acquisition, creation, preservation, rehabilitation, and restoration of open spaces, historic resources, land for recreational use, and community housing. And then, under that, number 2, the committee may include in its recommendations actions to set aside for later spending monies for the general purposes that are consistent with community preservation. In every fiscal year, the CPC must recommend either that the legislative bodies spend or set aside for later spending not less than 10% of the annual revenues in the fund for A, open space, not including land for recreational use, B, historic resources, and C, community housing. My question for you, Harry, is what your concern is that if/when this were to go into play, be in place, that that is a mechanism for them to hold us to the fire, so to speak, for having that amount of
That
housing?
and the fact that in the document, it references the fact that if the community does affordable housing,
Mhm.
the CPA committee owns it.
So that's a Mass General Laws
I
that you're
think
talking
that's
about,
the
correct?
general laws.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna look, I'm
And
gonna have
that's,
to look
and
that up.
that is, it would then we become landowners, would we become renters through CPA? Would we become the landlords? And if so, should that be espoused in the bylaw? That's my, and again, I'm not saying it is or isn't, I'm just saying, that's a fine point for me that I'd like to see clarification on that. The other two pieces I'm comfortable with and how they work, that affordable housing to me is a very serious concern.
Okay,
I'm gonna, at sometime after this meeting, I'm going to look that up in Mass General Law, and
You find, it's actually in the CPA, on the website, you'll see CPA committee. If you
Yeah.
look it up, there's all kinds of documents there, there's like a 65-page document regarding it,
which
I mean-
website are we talking about?
CPA. On Mass, if you look at the Mass General
Mass Gen-
laws,
Okay,
yeah, regarding CPA.
okay, I was gonna say, I was just making sure we're talking about the same thing.
No.
Alright, thank
there's
you.
also a separate CPA website as well.
Oh, okay, that's news to me.
Connor, can you get the,
Yeah,
pass that to Harry?
And again, it may not be a big deal, but when it comes to the financial aspect of this
Right.
town and where resources will come from for certain things, that would be my concern. And do we want, does the town want that committee to be a landlord?
Is it,
Other towns handle it.
is it Massachusetts?
Other town,
It's a good question.
I mean, all the towns.
See, I don't know, that's probably something the select board, but I'm just referencing it as far as the bylaw is concerned
okay,
in that.
Is this Massachusetts Association of CPAs, or is it a different website?
That does,
That
certified
sounds familiar.
public
It should be a coalition.
Oh, yeah, no. It's,
Oh, whoops.
yeah.
Thank you.
No, there was a different one we stumbled upon, we were looking up the other CPAs in other towns, yeah.
Yeah, I probably should spell it out.
No, that's, yeah, I'll be right.
Community, community preservation.
so there's this, the one that I have here, Community Preservation Coalition, and it's, that's on its own website in itself, and it tells you what the towns in the state that have CPA,
Got it. They just-
and what the percentage is that they contribute. And then there were also some other charts and diagrams that I did not print out.
Okay,
But yeah, you can go right into Community Preservation Coalition.
so I just pulled it up, I'm gonna look into this
Oh.
outside of the meeting, I don't wanna hold this up.
Yeah, I have a map.
Yeah, if it's the communitypreservation.org.
Okay.
Alright. That's,
Now, we did not put things into the bylaw that were also covered in the rules and regulations of the community preservation. There's a rather thick document that has all the rules and regulations.
Yeah,
And we feel as if it's redundant to repeat what's in the rules and
Oh, I
regulations
see.
and the laws of Massachusetts.
right, and I'm not asking you to do, I'm just saying is, does the bylaw reflect any of that at all? If not, okay.
negative,
Because my concern is that we're gonna be asking the town to pack a bylaw, and how much information are we gonna give them on what impact that bylaw has for the town,
Okay,
particularly regarding affordable housing.
okay.
Now, I don't know if that's your purview or not, Barbara, but, I'm just,
I don't know how to answer your question right now,
yeah,
but I certainly can ask other people and see what kind of answers I get. I'm just, you know, and again, I'm making the assumption that all this stuff is covered in either the statute, yeah,
So this, when you say that, Barbara, so that's, in this authority line, that's what you mean, it's all in this GL 44B
yes.
three, okay.
so
Yes.
I'm gonna look into that, I would say that it may be outside our purview, but I'm going to look into it, cause now I'm interested,
Okay, all right,
I'll
great,
leave it at that.
okay. All right.
okay, thank you.
So unless there's any other discussion on any of the old business topics, then we can move on to new business. First of all, I'd like to welcome Lionel Carbonneau as a new bylaw committee member.
I'm welcomed.
He replaces Gary Sircosta, who resigned a few months ago.
He lives right across the street from me.
Does he?
Yes.
And Lynn Turcott has also announced that she will not be seeking reappointment at the end of this fiscal year, so we are still going to be down one member on this committee. There was one person who had come forward, and I haven't heard anything from him or anybody else regarding, I don't know who he is, so I don't know what the status of that is right now.
Was this to you directly or through Tamika?
It was through Tamika, basically,
Okay.
yeah.
So nobody submitted anything
Not
for
that
it?
not that I've
Okay.
seen.
Okay,
Yeah, I had the same exact thought in my head, I just don't remember who it was and where I heard it.
I hadn't heard it either.
I wonder if it was at a select board meeting that they had said, I don't know, but alright,
Yeah.
we can follow up with our, I guess,
I'm sure we'll find out when there's interest.
In 2026, I have to go through the same process, go back to the selectmen and all that, all over again? I'm
Yeah,
supposed to end
you
in
go back
2000.
and you say that you're interested in staying on, or if you're not, then you would say,
They don't have to go through the committee to recommend it again and
Yeah,
through all
I
that.
think so.
You will have to go before the select board for approval.
Right, but not to start the process of writing it up again and all that.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
Other than to say, I can't say that because we changed that so many times.
I
My
don't think
rec-
you have to get our approval.
Right.
I don't
Right.
think
I'm just
that's what
wondering.
you're asking, I don't think that's what you
I
have to.
think you will need a letter of recommendation from the chair saying that we want to see Lionel reappointed
Okay.
again.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
But other than that,
So,
that's not a problem.
Oh, that just
Board
read
and,
out.
per the Town of Rutland Board and Committee Appointments Policy and Procedures, under reappointments, board and committee reappointments are generally made by the select board in June of each fiscal year and require written recommendation from boards and committees and written interest from the board or committee or member requesting reappointment.
I guess I would have to send you an email, Barbara, saying I request reappointment. Okay, got it.
We'll discuss that again as the time draws near.
I just want to know.
Okay, no problem. All right, so, I had a few questions for Anita, and one of the things that she suggested we do during her answering period is create an email account for the bylaw committee. Now, if it's a townofrutlandmass.org account, apparently that costs money. So she suggested going with something like a Gmail account.
Oh, yeah, it's free.
It's free, and then we could put that particular email on the town website so that, anybody who has a question can send a question or comment or whatever to that particular email.
What do other boards and committees do? Do they have Town of Rutland or do they have Gmail? I don't wanna be the first is the only reason I'm
Yeah,
asking.
it opens up a. Yeah.
Both.
Both, okay.
Now, I know the events committee has a Gmail account. It works out very well. Everybody has access to it. I really don't see any strong reason why everybody couldn't have access to it, so that when you go in, you can check and see what's going on.
There's no so if they're already doing this, and there's no legal reason that we can't do this.
Correct.
I think Gmails are easier to remember, so, and you would probably have to have the password for that.
Yes.
Okay.
But I then again too, I can just, if everybody doesn't have access to it, then I just forward that email to everybody and
Yeah.
they would still get it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons she suggested that is to keep a record of everything that we're doing, that it would become a permanent record. We don't do a lot of emailing back and forth, only things like, well, what time is the meeting and where is the meeting and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. We do have to be very careful about making sure that we're not sending any emails that would lead to any kind of discussion regarding reaching a decision. And I think even so much as saying things like, well, I like section 3, clause 2, that is
That's an opinion.
an influence of trying
Yeah.
to reach a decision,
So
so we
it's
have
for
to be careful about.
communication, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but to say, let's say we get an email and I feel that it's important for everybody to see it, just for information's sake until our next meeting,
Yeah.
then that would be good for that.
Just no replying all and voicing an opinion because of open
You
meeting
could
law.
send out the minutes on that also,
Sure,
Yeah. Actually,
and the agendas.
and
And
the
the
agenda. So that's a great point. What I should do is send them right to you, and then you can forward it to. Is that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can do that going forward. For the
Yeah.
minutes, just so everybody has a copy, and then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Eric?
Through the chair. CIPC had a policy, not a policy, what we do is, the agendas would come through Gmail. The meeting times would come through Gmail. And we would not discuss any business on Gmail. It would just be information only.
Right,
And anything related to, if it was even possible for a discussion, would not go through the town website. And since we didn't have a town website for the committee, everything was done by Gmail for the last 17 years on that. So that's the way we kind of approached it on there.
And it would be
Thank
an
you.
easy way that people would want to, from the other committees, would communicate with you.
right.
Yeah, centralized.
not everybody knows my email.
No, but if somebody says like this one, Tomika sent it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll give you an example where it's important for us, is if we don't think we're gonna have a quorum, we send out a question to everybody on the email. Who's gonna show up tonight?
Right.
And that's a great thing that we get feedback on, so we know we can have a quorum. If there's any question, we do that through
Right.
email.
yeah, informational kind of stuff, nothing that's gonna lead to a decision.
Not for discussions,
Right, not for
Right.
discussion.
not, as Harry said, not for business discussions. Do you need a motion?
I will entertain a
I'll
motion,
make
yes.
that motion that this committee get a Gmail account, which will be posted on the town website.
second.
You cannot,
I meant to say the Gmail address for people to communicate. Right?
no, not on the town website, you can't.
Okay, well,
It has to be internal.
I thought you
Just-
mentioned,
just-
no.
I think you're talking about just listing the address.
Yes,
so
that's
people
what I'm
can reach
talking
out
about.
to the
Yes,
town.
just-
So that another
Yes.
committee easily can see
Who to
who's,
tell, who
Yeah.
to contact, okay. So,
and list it, I
Just
meant to say
The
list it.
creation of a Gmail account basically will be
Okay,
perfect.
Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I would prefer that it be Town of Rutland email website, but if it's easier and everyone is in agreement to do Gmail, I would concur with that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimously carried. Okay, I was thinking, Town of Rutland MA bylaw, or bylaw committee, something, I know that's kind of long, but,
how about just Rutland bylaws?
well, I think I need to include MA in there.
MA.
Rutland,
Or, yeah, Rutland MA bylaws, because you
That'll do it.
Google, you
Yeah.
Google Rutland, and next thing you know, the city of Vermont is coming.
Well, I was just gonna say, if they have a bylaw group and they send it to you.
No, that-
Yeah,
that'll be easy to remember
that
too.
would, yeah.
By laws. By law. By laws.
Rutland MA bylaws. Okay, I'll see if, I can't imagine that that's not available.
You'd be surprised.
It's crazy.
Well, yes, I
Yeah,
would.
that's what I was
I,
saying.
yes, I would be surprised.
So Barbara, I'll put in that you'll do the creation of that then?
Yes.
Okay.
And you will have, and maybe this could go on record, she will have the password to that account.
Yes.
Or is the committee, all the committee gonna have access?
Well,
Let's get it set up first.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
let's see what happens when we get it,
Yeah.
when we get it going. Yeah. Okay, so, we've got that taken care of. One of the things that Mike asked to have on the agenda was a discussion about the proper or recommended process for individuals to request a new bylaw, and also about the proper and recommended process for individuals to request changes to an existing bylaw. I think this is a really good idea. This is the kind of thing that we could, again, put on the town website.
Mhm.
So if somebody says, okay, you know, I have an idea for a bylaw, let's go see what the bylaw committee has to say about, you know, what the procedure should be. Now, I'm not saying that we need to come up with this process tonight. I think it could be possibly a bit of a long process. But I think that if we all started thinking about different things of how to do this. One thing that we would need to put up there, of course, is the fact that a citizen can come forth with a citizen petition, and with the correct number of signatures, I don't know what that is off the top of my head, they can put a bylaw, a request for a bylaw on a town meeting warrant. And then at a town meeting, it would get voted, and from there, it would go to the Attorney General.
In the current bylaws, there is a bylaw committee bylaw that talks
Right.
about,
Yeah.
whether they help, is page 49.
Okay,
So bylaw committee under
Yeah,
duties and responsibilities.
yeah. if this committee would review anything proposed by town officials, but only whenever practical by citizens.
Okay,
Where did you see that?
Where are you reading?
It's in the
No, I've got
current,
it here.
it's in the current bylaws.
it's on
Yeah.
page 49 of the current bylaws.
Okay, which
49.
one are we talking about? Which did you say?
No, we're talking about the current bylaws.
Yeah, the bigger pack.
This big packet of stuff.
I'm reading the bylaw
Yeah.
committee bylaw.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Is
what
that-
I'm good.
Okay,
Oh,
I don't have the
yeah.
page numbers, cause I just printed out
Oh,
this section.
oh.
Yeah,
Um,
Barbara had given me that.
Yeah, actually.
okay, you're on section,
49, right?
subsection 8?
Subsection 5,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, the committee shall annually at its first meeting with the, do we have two different bylaws? This is what I got from the town
does it
website.
stat purpose, authority?
Yeah.
definitions, numbered.
Members, and section 5 is what I have.
Section 5 is officers on what I have.
Okay, we don't have the same thing.
Well, that's concerning.
Is that my books over here?
this is out of the book that I have.
Okay, this is, I just went direct to the town website, I
Oh, this
didn't
is-
print it from the whole
What I
package.
have is,
See, now you,
Oh,
under
you need to print
members,
it
you
out.
got
Oh,
A
they need to
and
print
E,
it out.
and under members
Yeah.
here is, it's A and B.
Right,
And then duties and responsibilities, there's no duties and responsibilities on that one. Oh, they're down there at 7.
so these are different.
Yeah, they are different.
What's the date that they were approved?
I wonder.
If it were on here,
mine's February
This
15,
one's-
2024.
Yeah.
Yeah,
when did
July
I-
2nd,
Okay.
2024.
so
Right.
apparently it was not updated on the bylaw page. This is, May 11th,
Yeah.
2019.
Oh,
So I just went direct to the bylaw page, I did not print it from the full general bylaws
Right.
packet.
Okay,
So that link is outdated.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm vaguely having flashbacks.
So we
with
may
Peter.
wanna tell Tamika
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Peter did mention there's a lot of link fixing they're gonna try to do.
Yeah,
So-
that was one of the things that
Maybe-
Anita has told me, is that there are little kinds of things
Little
like this
quirks, yeah.
that need to be tweaked.
Gotcha, gotcha.
The date on this one is February 15th, 2024.
Yeah.
And it was under Article 2,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so that's mine.
So I think maybe what we could do is, go over this bylaw and come up with something that we could put on the town website to let people know if there's, obviously they would wanna check and see if there's an existing bylaw in relation to what they have a concern about, and what that says, and if it would need to be a change, or if it would need to be new. I think this is,
And if it's general, it'll come to us, if it's zoning, it goes
That's
to
what
the.
it says.
exactly, right.
And
And-
this number A probably is supposed to say that any town official or citizen under this, I think that's probably what needs to be added there.
No, under duties and responsibilities?
Yeah, shall
No.
assess any assistant town
We will-
official or
we-
citizen.
No, according to this bylaw, we would assist any town official.
Right.
But any citizen, it would be whenever was practical.
Where is that?
The
D.
item D.
I
Oh,
don't
I'm
think.
sorry.
No, but I
Thank
see what
you.
you're saying, yeah. So, you're right, because we always.
Yeah, I see
work-
it, thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
work in conjunction.
So it's
with-
there, and what you're suggesting, Barbara, here's the how-to.
Right,
Yeah, that's a great idea. The how-to.
yeah. And just make it something that we can put on the website so that people can
Yeah.
understand what it is they would need to do and that kind of stuff.
Email to this address, this is the format, of what you, almost like a little format of what you
Right.
should. Yeah, great.
Right.
So I had no problems with us coming up with ideas that we could do, or, make a list of them, or whatever we happen to think of in the process of that, and then get it posted make sure everything on the town website is accurate and up to date. And then that way people will have an idea of what it is they would need to do, instead of just kind of willy-nilly.
Yeah.
That is a good idea.
Okay,
May I take a?
oh, by all means.
Thank you.
All right, do we need a motion on that, or do we just,
Well, you're gonna lead it, Barbara?
am I gonna lead it?
You gonna start it? Are you gonna start it?
Should we someone ad hoc?
Well, somebody has to start it.
Right.
Mike suggested, I think he should start it.
Okay, all right.
So I would type up something and then I could bring it to a meeting.
Yeah.
It'll just be like a general like how-to, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And then
good.
we can vote on it to have it added to the bylaw page on the town website. Does that work?
Okay, yeah.
So I would make, well, I
We
don't know
don't
if I
actually
need to.
probably need a
Do I
motion
need to make a
until we
motion?
No.
submit something.
No, not
We'll-
until I
we'll
bring
call
it.
it like an action item.
Yeah.
So I have homework. Alright,
That's great.
Yeah.
That really is.
so how to bylaw process.
So that also covers
Yeah.
adding bylaw process to town website, so, I mean, that's all kind of like in the
Yeah,
same,
the same,
in the same
Yeah.
thing, so we
Yeah.
just knocked off 3 items
Look at
right
that.
there.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah,
Alright, cool.
okay. Then the next item on the agenda is an amendment to the existing bylaws for the Conservation Commission.
Thank you.
Now that the wetlands
Yeah.
bylaw has been approved by a town meeting vote, and it is in the hands of the Attorney General. What the Conservation Commission would like to do is add to the bylaw that allows, fees, because there is a bylaw that allows fees, they want to add a fee schedule to that particular bylaw.
Yeah,
I had kind of hoped that somebody from the Conservation Commission would be here tonight. One of the things Tamika talked about was the possibility of meeting through the summer. That could be a problem for me.
I mean,
Not that you
yeah.
can't meet without me, but if,
Yeah.
if you don't have a quorum, then
Yeah.
that could be a problem as well.
So at that point, I'd have to lead the meeting. I would set up the agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't really know at this moment in time how to go forward with this to see exactly what it is the Conservation Commission wants us to do. We did get this letter and I sent this email out, and I'm just assuming, I have
Yeah.
extra copies if you
Yep.
if you need it. They gave us some sample language for the proposed town meeting article to see if the town will vote to establish a departmental revolving fund under the provisions of MGL, chapter 44, etc. To be credited with all fees, charges, and other receipts. It seems to be spelled out fairly efficiently here in this letter. I was just a little curious as to how the Conservation Commission wanted to set up their fee schedule, if they wanted to put a fee schedule actually in the bylaw as well, or if they wanted just to leave that to their own policy that they have, because I'm sure from time to time they're gonna be changing the fee schedule, so they're not gonna wanna have to change the bylaw in order to change the fee schedule, but I was curious as to what the fee schedule was going to entail.
and
Um,
I also think, Barbara, what's important is, what are they gonna use the money for? The second part, the use of the fund, what will they use that money for? Even 2 sentences is important.
I believe, no, I don't think they've outlined it formally, but based on the meetings of theirs that I have observed, they talked about spending it on like items to use for like flagging properties.
Okay, that's
And
good
that
to
sort of thing.
specifically,
That,
If
it
we
was
get it
pretty
back to
vague,
them
but
to
that's
say
kind
that.
of,
So essentially
Fill that
part of
in.
the enforcement.
yeah, I mean, I think somebody also mentioned educational items. I don't know whether or not that'll happen, but, I'm not sure if there's an exact outline,
Well,
Yeah.
they probably
just what I
need to come to some conclusions on that
yeah,
first.
in some meetings.
So if I understood this correctly, so let's say, we, this goes through the process with the bylaw amendment. Their next town meeting opportunity would be in the fall.
Correct.
Mhm.
And then, if that passes, the following July would be the earliest they could set up an account, right? Well, of course, yeah, that's what I was,
As outlined on the
yeah.
example.
Actually, no, I heard that wrong, it's just a spending limit prior to July 1 of each fiscal year. So they could set up the account in preparation for the next fiscal year.
Well, they're talking, in the first sentence, they're talking here, for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026.
Oh. Way at the top,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
So it wouldn't be
Yeah, so it would
until
be, I see it now,
next
yeah.
July that
Okay.
they would, now, I don't know if they're set up.
As a spending limit, they'll establish every year before the new fiscal year starts.
Yes.
Okay.
Who establishes the spending limit? The town, the selectmen, or the committee?
The selectman does.
Okay, that's right.
Okay.
And they come to you every year, or do you top down?
Every revolving fund, we have to approve and set the limit on.
It starts with the selectmen committee.
Right. And any revolving fund should go through the town administrator as a recommendation, and the select board has to approve it before it even goes into a bylaw.
And the spending limit is the amount they can spend per transaction, or
No, it's
in
a total
total?
limit for the year.
Okay.
I'll give you an example, recreation.
Yep.
True revolving fund. They charge fees for all the sports that comes in, and they request how much, it's not a request of how much, but how much they can spend. So say they're allowed to spend 200, we agreed is they could spend 250,000. If they bring in more than that, we're golden, because that will go back into the fund. If they bring in less than that, then we have a problem, because unless they have money setting into their cash account, now it comes out of town assets and we can't have that. That's illegal, so. That's how revolving funds work. It's for the purpose of it's covering the expenses of the operation. And you have guaranteed income coming in to do that.
Right.
The select board is
And that,
right now looking at several.
those expenses don't go through the town budget.
Right, correct,
Okay, I got it.
right.
Unless the town, like you say, if they spend or start to spend more money or need more money, they have to go to the town.
I mean, we have, I don't know, 6, 7 revolving funds in town.
Yep.
Planning board has one, and they collect their fees, and then whatever it costs comes out of those fees for the maintenance, so they never run over, so to speak. But it's really designated for the expenses of running that particular entity.
Yep.
The revolving funds are on page 31 of the bylaws.
Yeah.
And
Like
again,
they
I
could-
think that what we need to do is, read through these bylaws carefully and, our current existing revolving funds, and then see how this proposed change fits into that.
What's the relationship, between like amending the bylaw and then also voting on this at town meeting? Do those happen at the same time?
I mean, for this specific.
So this article that they gave is a proposed article for town meeting. Would we vote on that and vote on an amendment to the bylaw at the same town meeting?
Well, that is the amendment to the bylaw.
See the town.
Yeah, it's been done.
Oh, as amended.
So
Okay,
they'll take that entire paragraph, add to the.
Got it.
Or I should say, that would be the amendment, right
Got it.
there, okay?
Okay.
Okay,
I didn't realize that was one and the same.
yeah. I mean, I think it's fairly well written right here,
Yeah.
but like I said, I'm curious as to, the fee schedule, and again,
Right.
what kind of stuff that they're going to be spending this money on, and that kind of thing, so. We need to have a conversation with them.
Mhm.
If if they're, wanna push and you don't object to meeting during the July and August, that, like I said, that's gonna be a problem for me. Not that I wanna tell the whole town. Cause we're not gonna be home, so,
Why can't they come in August and do this? It'd be too late?
no,
There's that general, throughout the
I think it's,
summer.
I
I
think
mean, it
it's
seems like this isn't gonna be a big write-up. We just, to me, it looks like you were just saying, they need to come to a conclusion on how these expenses are what they're gonna spend, get a better description of the funds they're going to collect and why. What are these funds? They have to have a description somewhere, at least in their own notes.
Mhm.
Then if we see those and we like them, then it's, summarize it in this thing they gave us on the
chart.
the chart. We need something really good in there from them in order to say, okay, this is,
And once we have that, it should be easy.
So on this particular chart,
yeah,
it says, let's just say, take Board of Health, so the Board of Health has the revolving fund. The revenue source is inspection fees, the
Yeah.
Board of Health is authorized to expend, and the use of the fund is inspection services, costs, and expenses, which is relatively generic,
yeah,
but it still gives an
In
answer to
general.
what is this money for.
yeah.
Yes, I would definitely would like to add
Just add it,
it to this.
yeah. But I really
But we
think
need
they
to- we
should
need to
tell
get
us, tell us what they are going to be,
Yes,
the fines and what they're for, and then how are you gonna use the money that we've got our backup, that they know what they're gonna do, and we can add it, or they can add it, right?
yes,
If we meet with them, we should be able to have this done within 3 meetings, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would think so, I don't
Establish what's
really think
prepared.
that it would take a tremendous amount of time.
Yeah.
As long as you can put together a quorum, and if you wanna meet with them
I
at
said, why
any point
can't
in
we
time
do it,
during the summer,
why not do it in August?
that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, I got,
We could,
yeah,
we could contact Week to find out, what their availability is for the
Right.
summer. See.
right,
Maybe you could, talk with the chairman that wrote the letter and
So what's-
say, this is what we're gonna need, and we need to meet with you in August.
yeah.
Yeah, is that still Melissa?
Is this, I'm not sure.
Actually, that's a good
Tom,
Melissa
Uh,
Danza
did
was
they
the
reorganize?
chairperson, I don't know if she still is or,
question. Yeah.
well, she's the administrator, it
I
sounds like.
presume she is.
Tamika is.
Alright, so wait, we'll find out.
okay. I'll let Tamika know that we've discussed this and we really do need to have a meeting with them. I mean, I suppose we could schedule another meeting between now and the end of June. But I guess that depends on their schedule and whether or not that's something they could do, so. Let me get in touch with Tamika and see what,
The urgency is?
yeah. Yeah, but I agree with Mike that we should be able to knock this out in 3
Yeah.
meetings. Is that reasonable with your experience?
Well, we've already got the
Exactly.
revolving fund,
Yeah.
bylaw.
Yeah, exactly,
You just need
So-
to add to it.
yeah, so I don't see any reason why this,
We just next one meeting.
What the sources are and what
Yeah.
what they're gonna use it for.
Yeah.
It's just a little box.
yeah, exactly, okay, good, okay, now, let's see, have I? All right, so that covers everything that I have had on my agenda. Is there anything else that anybody would like to bring up?
I do.
Okay,
It's more of just a comment, and if anyone else wants to discuss it, no real clear answer here, but because I was at the town charter Q&A session yesterday evening, which was extremely confusing. because it wasn't just on the content of what was in the survey so far, but as into why we need a charter, how does it relate to the bylaws. I'm still unclear as to what's going to happen once the town charter is approved. Do the bylaws go away? Do they have to match up exactly? I don't know. I just wanted to mention that to everyone so that people at least have it on their minds.
My understanding is that the town bylaws do not go away if we adopt a town charter. That's my understanding. But exactly how the town charter is going to work, I do not know myself.
The only part that I thought was clear was that the town charter is sort of at a high level and the bylaws are more like granular. But then certain things that the people on the town charter committee said may or may not have been accurate as to what takes precedent. So I'm assuming we'll learn more in time. They're still in their rough draft of just the first 6 sections. But I thought I should at least bring it up.
Okay. And I meant to go to that meeting last night
Yes,
too, and I got tied up. I was gonna go, I got
That,
tied up.
that, that was the meeting they taped, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fucking, if I can find it on my computer.
I wanted to ask if the minutes supposed to be on the town, or minutes of are they supposed to be there?
Yes, on the
Yeah,
town
so-
website, yes,
That's actually something I wanted to ask you guys about.
okay.
Okay. I've emailed every set of minutes that we've approved, so I want to reach out to Tamika and ask why there's missing gaps. So there's I counted at least 3 links that didn't show our approved minutes. Because I actually referenced back to the website to
I
look
don't
for.
see any
I don't
minutes
see
there.
any, yeah. So I'm gonna go, I'll follow up with her and find out. And if she needs, I can resend all the approved versions, including the one we just approved where we approved it with those 4 amendments, right?
Okay.
You know, so I'll make sure and find out what, you know, but unless, you know, the email is still sitting there, well, I'll see, yeah.
It's not like Tamika to let emails sit there.
That's right, so I don't know if I sent it to the wrong email or,
Yeah, ask
so
her.
find out, yeah.
You can't post them yourself, all right?
No,
I can't post it myself, no,
Okay.
because everything gets sent.
Somebody can.
Somebody can, unless it has to go right to Anita.
it's the secret password.
Secret password. So I wanted to thank you, like, I was actually gonna bring that up too, cause I was just like, you know, the one where we did the joint with the Concom, I totally see, you know, I can make sure, you know, the addendum we put in those other minutes match, you know, with the posted agenda, right? So we have approved minutes, I just didn't see the links follow, you know, they just go right back to the agenda. So I'll take a look, yeah.
Yeah, check with her and maybe you did, I can't imagine that you did.
Right, yeah, so that's why, yeah.
Can't imagine. All right, so the next, the second Thursday in September is September 11th. If that's an acceptable date.
Yep.
At this point in time, I will ask to reserve this room. And if something comes up between now and then, and there needs to be a meeting between the Conservation Commission and bylaws, then that will have to be arranged.
So the procedure is our secretary governs that meeting. If you can't, because we don't have like a vice chair.
Actually, I think-
Co-chair.
Vice yeah.
Aren't you the vice chair?
The vice chair, and you know, when Gary left,
Yeah.
so I think I took over him writing the minutes.
Good.
So it's like, right, yeah, so it would be me, basically, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
I will check with Tamika and see what she can get out of the Conservation Commission for, you know, what they're thinking. And go from there. All right,
Good.
Perfect.
there being no other business,
I move the meeting be adjourned.
is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained?
Harry, I wanted to tell you, at your selection meeting,
You got a joke for me, you said?
how long we just did, okay? Listen, the selectmen meeting, I was sitting there, and you guys.
Gosh, I wish I had the right copy of the.
Something to your left, to your
Yeah.
right.
That was
I was thinking about that right
There's
now.
somebody to your right.
Yeah.
Alex.